Okay, so we talked about geometric sequences, right? Now we're going to talk about geometric series. Can someone remind me what geometric sequences were?
That's like the set of numbers that you're multiplied or divided by.
Yes, the pattern continues, you either multiply or divide by it. So 2, 4, 8, 16, and so on. So it's being multiplied by 2, right? Can we please shut our Chromebooks? Thank you. A geometric series is basically the sum of the terms of a geometric sequence. Basically what arithmetic sequence or arithmetic series was, right? It was basically the sum of the arithmetic sequence. Question?
I thought we already did the sum. Confused.
We did the sum for arithmetic sequence. Now we're doing sum for geometric sequence. So it's different.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way you can differentiate is if a question is given, you ask yourself, is this series or is this sequence geometric or arithmetic? And after that, you ask yourself, okay, they're asking us to find the total number or the sum, and then you use the formula for either geometric or arithmetic sequence. Make sense? So the formulas are different, as you can see. So geometric sequence, the formula that we'll follow is T1 times r to the power of n minus 1 over r minus 1, or rtn, so the nth term, minus T1 over r minus 1. Okay, so T1 over here is my first term, right? And n are the number of terms. R is the common ratio. Sn is the sum of first n terms. And Tn is the nth term. Okay? We know all this from before too, right? Okay, now let's solve a few questions and see which formula should we pick, okay? The main difference here, you guys, is that if Tn is given to you, you use the second formula. If Tn isn't given to you, you use the first formula, given that T1 is given to you, right? So let's look at a few questions. Determine the sum of the first 6 terms. There are terms given to us. 4 will be our T1. How can I find the ratio?
C1, or negative 12 divided by 4, which is negative 3.
Yes, so I'll just divide Tn over Tn minus 1, so negative 12 over 4, which is negative 3. So I have my T1 and I have my R. What is my N?
Your N is 6.
6 terms, so it's going to be N is 6. Now everything is given to me except Tn. I don't know what Tn is. So will I prefer the first formula or the second formula? First, because Tn, I don't know what that is, right? So Sn is equal to T1, which is 4, times R, which is negative 3 to the power of 6 minus 1, over R is negative 1 minus 1. So I'm just substituting values in this formula at this point. Okay, so you can put that in the calculator. Okay. So bracket starts, 4, bracket starts. another bracket, minus 3 bracket to the power of 6, and then we have minus 1 bracket, bracket close, divided by bracket starts, another bracket, minus 3, minus 3 bracket closes, minus 1 bracket close, enter. So that's negative 728, correct? So Sn will be equal to negative 728, and that's my answer. Questions? Now, part B, I have T1 as 1200, Tn as 0.12. My ratio would be 120 divided by 1200, which is just R is equal to 0.1, right? So I have T1, I have Tn, I have R, but I don't have N, right? So which formula should I use? The first one? Or, yeah, second one. So I'll just plug this information in. Sn is equal to R, which is 0.1, times Tn, which is 0.12, minus T1, which is 1200, divided by R minus 1. So 0.1 minus 1. Now I just plug that into the calculator. Which gives me 1333.32. So Sn will be 1333.32. Good, right? Pretty easy. Put things into the formula. All you need to figure out what your T1, Tn, N, and R is. Okay, so try this question. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to do this question. Done?
Can I have your help for a sec? Oh, wait. No, I know I messed up. No, never mind. I did it as 2,
Figure out what your T1 is, what your N is, and what your R is. T1 is 40, right? The first term. Number of terms, 6. and the ratio will be 20 over 40, which is just half, right? 0.5. Now put that in the formula. Which formula would you prefer?
First one.
The first one, because Tn isn't given. T1 is 40 times R is 0.5 to the power of 6 minus 1 over R is 0.5 minus 1. Put that into the calculator and you'll get 78.75. Okay. Questions, you guys? Makes sense, right? Okay. Okay. Now let's just, I think you know how to do this, but let's just look at how we'll find T1, Tn, n, and r in the following questions. So T1 would be
1 over 64.
1 over 64 would be T1. Tn would be
1024.
24. And then r would be
4.
4. 1 over 16 divided by 1 over 64. So write that down like that. And dividing fractions, we keep, change, flip, right? So keep, change, flip, which would give us 4, right? Our ratio is given. Now, what formula would you prefer?
The second one.
Second one, right? Because Tn is given. Now, T1 is 5, R is,
R is 4. Oh, sorry, you're doing the second one.
yeah,
R is 3.
yeah, 15 over 5 is 3, and N is 8.
Oh.
You see that? Because we are figuring out sum of the till the 8th term.
Sorry, I thought you meant T8. I was thinking of T8,
Oh.
but instead of 3.
Yeah, fair. Okay, next question. T1 is given to us. Tn is given to us. Ratio would be
-4.
-4, because -16 divided by 4 is -4. And then which formula would you prefer?
The first one.
The second one, because the second one has Tn.
Oh.
And in part B, which formula would you prefer?
First one.
The first one, because Tn isn't given to us. Okay. Okay. So a word problem is given to us. At a Scrabble tournament, 2 people play in each game. After each round, losers are eliminated and winners continue to play until a final match determines the champion. If there are 256 entries in a Scrabble tournament, what is the total number of matches that will be played? Okay, so 256 are the number of people playing, but because there are 2 people that are playing in each match, it'll be, the first round will have 128 matches, right? The second round will have 128 divided by 2, which is 64 matches. And then eventually there will be, what would our Tn be? What would the last match be?
1.
There will be only 1 match at the end, right? So this is our Tn, this is our T1. Ratio is 64 over 128, which is half, or 0.5, right? Now we use our formula, which is Sn is equal to Rtn minus T1 over R minus 1. Because we're looking at the total number of matches, we'll find Sn, not the general term. So our ratio will be 0.5 times Tn, which is 1, minus T1, which is 128, over R, which is 0.5 minus 1, and that gives me 255 matches. So if people were included, then we would start from 256 till 1. But because we were talking about the number of matches, we'll divide it by 2 to figure out how many matches were played by the people. Questions? Okay. So that's one type of question that you could get, word problem that you could get. In a geometric series, T2 is 12, T5 is 324, and the sum of all terms of the series is 13,120. How many terms are in the series? So this gives us Sn, right? We don't know what n is. We know T2 and T5. Remember the shortcut that we used last class?
Putting it down to T1 and T4.
Yes. So putting it down basically, so we have T1 as 12. We are going to assume that T2 is actually T1. And you see 2 minus 1 is 1. So we'll do the same here. 5 minus 1 is 4. So this will be the fourth term. And that's 324. If you're not sure how that worked, you can look at 2, 3, 4, 5. We have the second and the fifth term. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That means if you're decreasing it down, it'll be first and the fourth term. Okay. So we'll use the formula for general term, which was Tn is equal to T1r n minus 1. So we know T4, which is 324, is equal to T1, which is 12. We don't know our ratio, but we do know n is 4 minus 1. So 324 is equal to 12r to the power of 3. Divide 12 on both sides. 324 divided by 12 is 27, is equal to r cubed. To get rid of the cube, we'll cube root both sides, which makes it to 3. So r is equal to 3. To figure out the sum, which is 13,120, it'll be equal to the formula T1 Rn minus 1 over r minus 1. Now, we need to find what T1 is. We can use the formula that's given to us. So T1 is just going to be 12 divided by 3, which is 4, because we are going back, right? And to go back, we divide it by 3. So now it'll be 4. Ratio is 3 to the power of n minus 1. Ratio is 3 minus 1. 13,120. 3 minus 1 is 2. Everything else stays the same. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now we'll divide both sides by 2. 2 and 2 cancel. 13,120 divided by 2 is 6,560 is equal to 3 to the power of n minus 1. Add 1 on both sides, and I get 6,561 is equal to 3n. Now we need to make our bases the same, right? If bases are same, power will be equal, right? 3 to the power of 8 is 6,561. So n will be 8. You'll just have to assume and try again to figure out what 3 to the power of what will be 6,561. Questions? Okay, so I'll give you guys half an hour to finish the your turn questions on page 21, 22, and page 20, okay? And then I'll be discussing them. So you have half an hour to do that. And then the homework assignment is going to be page 36 onwards. So questions 1 to 4, 5, any two parts, question 6, 8, 14, and you can choose 3 from page question 9 to 13. Okay, so the first question, what formula should we use?
For the Scrabble?
This one.
We should use the second one.
The second one, because Tn is given, and then this is T1. So R would be 4 over negative 2, which is just negative 2, right? And then we'll put it in the formula, right? Second question, T1, R, and N all are given to you. So you'll just use the first formula, T1 times R to the power of N minus 1, R minus 1, which is 64 times 1/4 over to the power of N. N is 7, so we can replace that, minus 1 over 7, 1/4 minus 1. So put that in the calculator, and S7 will be 85.3. Questions? The next question is, if a Scrabble tournament has 512 participants, how many matches will be played in total? Because they have written total, your brain should be like sum. Okay, we're looking at the sum. Okay, these are the participants. How many matches will be organized for the first round? 256, because 502 divided by 2 is 256. The second match, T2, would again be divided by 2, which is 256 divided by 2, 128, and so on, until Tn will be?
Tn would be 1.
1, because there will be only one match at the end. So we can use the second formula for this. Sn is equal to R times Tn minus T1 over R minus 1. R is 1/2, which is just 0.5. So 0.5 times 1 minus T1, which is 256 over 0.5 minus 1. And that should give you 511 matches. Okay. Questions? Let's look at the next one. The sum of the first 14 terms of a geometric series is 16,383. The common ratio is -2. Find the first term. So we're looking for T1. We have N as 14. We have our S14, which is 16,383, and common ratio, which is R -2. What formula can we use for this? The second one. But would it be beneficial for us to use the first one, because we are finding T1?
Then yeah, if you said so.
Well, we also don't know what Tn is, right? So Sn, using the first formula, or 14 in this case, T1 times R to the power of N minus 1, R minus 1. T1 is, we don't know what it is, but we do know S14 is 16,383. So we're just substituting values in. T1 times R, which is -2 to the power of N, which is 14, minus 1 over -2 minus 1. So let's simplify this. 16,383 is equal to T1 times negative 2 to the power of 14 minus 1. If you put that in your calculator, will be 16,383. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. So this and this cancels, and we are left with T1 is equal to negative 3. Because we'll multiply both sides by negative 3. Cancels, and we'll have T1 equal to negative 3. Okay, next question. This one is the challenge question, right? So you're given T1 and you're given T4. The sum is given to you of all the terms, but you don't know what all the terms are. How many terms are there? N is unknown. So we also don't know our common ratio to find this. And both the formulas for sum require us to know the ratio, right? So how can I find my common ratio?
Something that you multiply by four times equals, or some 12 multiplied by something 4 times equals 96.
Yeah, not 4 times, 3 times though, because 4 minus 1. So we'll use the formula T4. The general formula will be T1 r to the power of 4 minus 1. So we know our T1 is 12. 12 times r to the power of 3. We know our T4 is 96. So we'll put that in. Isolate r, which will be divide both sides by 12. 96 divided by 12 is 8. 8 is equal to r to the power of 3. Cube root both sides. 2 is equal to r. Now that we have our ratio, we can use either of the formulas to figure out what n will be. Which formula would we prefer?
The
First one, because we don't know what Tn is, right? So Sn, the first formula says Sn T1 r to the power of n minus 1 r minus 1. Sum is given to us, 98,292. T1 is 12. R is 2, right? So 2 to the power of n minus 1 over 2 minus 1. So we have 98,292 is equal to 12 times 2 to the power of n minus 1. 2 minus 1 is just 1. Divide both sides by 12. 98,292 divided by 12 is 8,191 is equal to 2n minus 1. Add both sides by 1, which gives me 192 is equal to 2 to the power of n. This can be written as the base of 2. 2 to the power of 13 is equal to 8,192. So our n would be 13. Right? Because when bases are same, powers are equal. So there are total 13 terms. Questions?